Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Breakfast with Buck. This study is a lot of fun. I hope everybody's enjoying it. Today we'll be on Romans chapter 12, verse 2. This is another very well-known scripture. A lot of theology comes from this scripture alone. We develop a lot of our holiness theology if you've ever studied that before in church or whatnot. So let me just read it to you slowly here. Verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Well, this is a very, very important concept for all Christians and those that are in the faith to absorb, understand, and to practice. The first thing I want to think about is, Paul is writing to a church that obviously had a very diverse climate and its environment and culture, very diverse religious atmosphere, if you will. And his first comment here in the first phrase is very important for us in contemporary society. He says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Now, normally I would assume that pattern would mean going and doing what everyone else is doing. And that's probably a very weak explanation. I would say this a little bit more to add a bit more structure to the scripture. I would say what the world finds acceptable and what they do often and habitual is not something we should be doing. There are certain parts of being a Christian that I would rather not say we abstain from, but we act out of love other than greed or other motivations that are of the sinful nature. So, for instance, social norms. What is good and bad to watch on TV, how we talk to each other, how we treat others, love your neighbor, is not defined in the cultural context, but in a spiritual context. So he's saying that no matter what the world sees as right and good, no matter how they treat each other, we should not conform to this. We should not be like this. And he offers a solution. He says, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so, the first thing I want you to think about is if the world does something a certain way and you are performing that same act or thoughts, desires, intentions, if you're behaving like the world, that means you're part of the world. So transforming would mean that you need to change. Unfortunately, change is a very important aspect to our Christian faith. We believe that we should be constantly transforming. So in this situation, think about it in terms of spiritual acceptability. What is right to God, what is perfect to God, may not be what's perfect to the world. And I have some examples. Certainly how we view sex in the outside of marriage, for instance. But I would also go so far to just to say simple things: gossip, you know, uh, treating others with respect and dignity that do not believe the way we do, forgiving. Is that not something a Christian should learn to do, to forgive others? And all this is supported on the structure and framework of loving each other as you love yourself, and loving the Lord with all your heart. So all spiritual growth requires change, and we must be open to this change. We must be open to the possibility that there are parts of us that need change. And then think of this: at one point you thought certain behaviors, activities were right. Maybe today the Lord is going to convict you. He's going to challenge you to say what you thought was right, what attitude you had, what behavior you used to practice. This is not conforming to my way and my will, what I want from you. Very important concept. Grace is every day renewed by our constant submission. We are not just literally transformed instantaneously. It's an everyday gradual effect. And I challenge you as you go to work today, you know, develop in situations that counter your faith, I would recommend that you take some time to reflect on this scripture, and challenge yourself to say, am I renewing my mind today? Am I searching God's perfect and pleasing will? Am I being transformed in His likeness? Or am I sticking to my own patterns because I'm comfortable, because they're easier? I really think that change may come at a price, a sacrifice. It may not be easy. But as this verse tells us, the perfect will of God will serve us best in the end. So today, as you move about your business, maybe at night when you're doing your devotions, seek deep into yourself and ask the Lord what needs to be renewed, what needs to be transformed. Because essentially, that is what the saving work of grace accomplishes every day for our souls. Thank you very much. I'm real excited to see you tomorrow. I look forward to another challenging scripture, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.